related to and derive power from entry 41. I've given you a list. Delhi minorities, Delhi Lokayuk, Delhi so-and-so, etc. Union territories can have their exclusive services and public service commissions. The payment of emoluments to all those serving in the government. This Lordship asked the question early on yesterday. Payment of everything, again emoluments, is part of my annual budget, passed by an appropriation bill of my assembly. It is unimaginable that the assembly or the government of Delhi that is responsible for raising revenue and making payments to those serving in NCT, but the answerability of those is elsewhere. L. Under the respective services, the transfer and posting of these to these services within a UT lies with the elected government. Within, that's L. M. While the above position prevails in the UTs with legislature sufficient for the purpose of NCT or the present case, the position of NCT, given that the legislation are constitutionally mandated and not pursuant to a simple parliamentary law, necessitates effective control over the civil services. It is otherwise necessary to do any implementation of policy. Any implementation of policy is one of the nugatory without my control over my own civil service. It is just a chimera. It is just one of the pipe dream that anybody will listen to me. The exclusion of entry 41 would be contrary to the majority judgment. I have cited that, the Lordship is read it, etc. Well, it's 2 minutes more. Just note. Take an example where your Lordship has no power in NCT to appoint, transfer, allocate work. Take that. I'll give you 2 or 3 very quick 1 minute example. Example 1, I am NCT. I decide that COVID needs me to appoint 100 staff in Delhi government's NCT's 5 hospitals in Delhi. Either I can't appoint, or I can appoint 5, or I can appoint 7. I then decide that this staff is better suited to Safdarjung Hospital or the other hospital, which are mine. No, that transfer cannot be by me unless somebody else agrees. Example 2, I am paying suddenly in the middle, suppose for whatever reason there is some event happening. Payment of salaries is delayed, stopped. Payment towards rent and staff salaries for running primary health centers may be stopped. Primary health center run by NCT. No, you are running primary health centers, you have got 100 people, you should have only 20 people. I would pay the salary of the balance 80. Your Lordship gets a water treatment plan. For several months, the water treatment plan, which is a policy manifesto, stated that we are going to clean this place. Certain stretch in Yamuna apart, actually. Well, the bureaucrat concerned says that no, I have to answer to, I can't meet the ministers for this. Well, I am not going to any affidavit. These are hypothetical examples, but they are real examples, unfortunately. Sorry, I can't meet you. I've already written my report to the LG.
Either he relies upon or he does not rely upon.
Very well.
Because I have an answer.
Now, Madhus.
They are
In the light of
actually
this,
incorrect.
I am concluding.
And as per the contemporaneous record, they are incorrect.
Either I am, anyway, let's leave that.
Don't say something and say that I am not relying upon.
Either I am not living in Delhi or Mr. Mehta is not living in Delhi. Both of us can't be living in Delhi.
But we take it that what you are giving us are hypothetical illustrations of what may happen if we don't accept your argument.
Please take it as hypothetical. What will happen? Definitely in case I have no power. Let me put it like that. Well, done now is one thing. My learned friend will take by the clock a few minutes to make that point about other capitals and the fact that your Lordship actually has the strange irony that you have less power in the NCT than your Lordship gives to the municipality. And in the first example, the most centralized, least liberal example, the power of the state government is more than what has been conceded to the NCT. That's 2 minutes for me. Now, I want to end by saying, I'm concluding. Please see the larger picture. Well, here is a person who's trying to save his burning house. That is me. I am not trying to go and attack his house. Where is the question of my encroaching upon 1, 2, and 18? I am trying to save what I've got. Number 2, if your Lordships were to be persuaded by this argument of competence of the NCT, as raised by the Government of India, it would amount to that I will be left only with areas of incompetence. I have left with nothing. If this is the understanding of competence, then this elected government is left with incompetent areas only. Number 3, it is something like a gearbox system. The constitutional gearbox of this is those who implement the civil service. You are giving me a gearbox which I can't change. Either I drive in only gear number 1. I can't speed up the car. I can't go to gear 4. All the levers of the gear movement are in somebody else's hand. You give it to me that, look, I've given you a gearbox which is fixed at 1. Well, this system can't work. The car can't move. The people of Delhi cannot benefit. Also, Malaz, if your lordships were to have this, and your lordships in your experience as administrators also know, that no civil servant will feel that he is answerable in any which way. All these long lectures we are giving Malaz about accountability to the minister, minister to the legislature, legislature to the people. He is simply not bothered. The practice of the matter is that you are bothered only about the person who can deal with you, who can transfer you, who can post you. In practice, all the homilies we give, civil servants are very smart people also. They know that I am not to be bothered unless I am answerable to you. Therefore, I beseech my lords that I am asking for a minimalist power, which normally nobody should need to ask for. It is implicit in the very creation of NCT. Otherwise, you should have no NCT. It is implicit in the creation of NCT as a constitutional legislature. What? I can post them. I can decide where to post them. I can allocate work and I can transfer. That's all. I'm very deeply obliged.
Thank you, Dr. Singhvi. Yes, Mr. Farah, sir.
I just, the lordships will permit take about 15 minutes, not more. Because just one.
Now that 2 minutes will become 15 minutes. I thought.
Because your lordships will grant me 15 minutes if possible. Because that I'll complete the points with that. Because I will not take more than 15 by that clock. I'll not take your lordships to any of the documents I intended to. I'll just place the point. The point is there in the written submission. Plus, the main point I want to address your lordships, and there's 2 subparts, is that what is the interest of central government in controlling the services of a union territory of Delhi? And my respectful submission is there is none. Plus, really speaking, what the central government is seeking in this matter is, it's a kind of argument of red herring. Plus, my government's, the civil servant who's functioning in my government, his ability to function is limited by the competence of the government itself. Because whatever I can do in my constitutional competence, that is exactly what the civil servant can do. Because he can't go beyond that competence of the government. The lordships will strike it down, the courts will strike it down. So, what is the real interest, if any at all? And my respectful submission is there is none of the central government in controlling day to day, the civil servants who are serving in the government of NCT of Delhi or denying the entry 41. Well, in that respect, 2 aspects I want to place before your lordships. One is, what is the experience of global capitals across the world? There are 3 different, there is a 2009 book, your lordships will have the supplementary written submission which we have placed. Para 9 onwards. I'm not going to read, I'm just going to place the point. There are 3 different kinds of capitals. There's a book of 2009, that's the latest book we could find on a comparison on federal capitals across the world, their governance structure. The learned SGS filed something from 1970. What does that say? There are 3 categories broadly. One category is where there is a federated district. The capital is a federated district of the union. District, I use the term in a loose sense. It is the federated territory of the union. In that, for instance, there will be Abuja in Nigeria, Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, the African states are there. There are certain Washington DC in the US will also fall.
What is the paradigm there that the capital is a
federal district? That is, it's a federal district.
Like Washington DC.
Yeah.
Like DC. And I've given 5 other examples. That is category 1. Within that category also, there is a huge play of things in each of those categories. I'll come to that in a moment. Category 2 is where the capital is a completely federated unit. That is an independent federated unit, and that's the capital. Berlin for Germany, and Brussels in the case of Belgium. The third category, your lordships, is where the capital is in the province of a full-fledged state. The capital city is in the province of a full-fledged state. So if Delhi were in Uttar Pradesh, if Delhi were
capital is in the
province of a state.
Is that in the province of?
of a state. Ottawa, my lords, in Canada is in the province of Ontario. And my lords, if there is a fourth category, really South Africa, it doesn't formally have a capital. But all the South African constitution says the parliament will be in Johannesburg. There's no formal capital. The executive government is in Pretoria. And my lords, the constitutional court, my lords, is plus the constitutional court is in Johannesburg. The parliament is in Cape Town, and the executive government is in Pretoria. There is no formal capital. But if we look at the divergence of administrative structures in all of them, there are three things which stand out. One is the area of competence given to the local government. Second is there a legislative override? That is, a central legislature overrides the local legislature. Third is there an executive override? Does the central executive override the local executive? There's a range of combinations. So at the most federated level is something like Berlin, which is very high degree of competence. The width of the competence area is broad, no legislative override, no executive override. And the other end of the spectrum is very narrow competence, legislative override, executive override. But in none of them, and that's important for our case, none of them, the services in the local government are sought to be controlled by the center. In none of them, across the board, irrespective of the combination of these three factors, that within the area of competence, the federal government seeks to say, I will control your officers. It just doesn't happen. Then, my lords, there is an example of London. Like your lordship is aware, London, my lords, is the most centralized democracy, not just possibly in the Western world, but in the world. Similar to Article 39 AA, in 1999, they enacted a Greater London Authority Act 1999. They established a Greater London Authority. That, my lords, established a directly elected assembly, 25 members of the assembly, and a mayor. Because there have been 3 mayors in London till now: Ken Livingstone, Boris Johnson, who then became the Prime Minister, and presently is a gentleman called Sadiq Khan. But interestingly, it's a little similar. When Boris Johnson was the mayor, the Labour government was in power in the centre. And today Sadiq Khan is from Labour and the Tories are in power. So, but there, section 67 and 70, lordships will just make a note, it's there in my written submission. The power to appoint the staff to set their conditions of service, everything is with the authority. Why should us have a central government have any interest in that? And this is not even a federated system. The first line was the examples I gave were federated systems. UK is not even a federation. Their House of Lords is not like our Rajya Sabha, which represents state interests. The House of Lords is a bunch of peers which are appointed to a certain process, but there's no federal interest. But even in a country where there's no federal interest, the management of the capital at a local level, there's no interest of the central government in controlling the services of that. And finally, I will come to our own Delhi Municipal Corporation Act, and that I'd like to just place the sections. Plus the MCD Act, which has been enacted by the Parliament. Plus para 16 of my supplementary written submissions, which your lordships will have. Plus section 89 and 90 of the MCD Act give the power to appoint. Well, section 89 is for important posts. Your lordships will just make a note of it. For important certain designated posts, the power is with the corporation itself. That is with the elected arm. Corporation is the elected arm. Under section 89, the power is with the corporation itself.
Yes.
To appoint certain important people to certain important posts. Under section 90, the standing committee, which is the elected sub-body of the corporation, approves different posts. Under section 90, they approve different posts for the corporation, and in pursuance of that approval, then the commissioner makes the actual appointment. So there is complete elected arm control under the MCD Act. Plus, surely a parliamentary form of democracy with a Westminster style system with federalism in play, we can't be worse off than the Municipal Corporation of Delhi.
So the power to appoint is again there, not given to the center, but.
And insofar as any concern, well, I possibly cannot see any concern of the union in the day-to-day administration of the government of Delhi. And your lordship will test this, because all matters of federalism which has come before this court are in the context of two different political parties. That's been the jurisprudence in 70s. Before that, it was one party rule. We didn't even have cases before this court. Because your lordship will give a construction which will bear the weight of competing priorities by two different political parties.
Right. Anything else, Mr. Farah, sir?
So, Malas, finally, if there is a concern, if at all, once services come in the remit, if there is at all a concern, plus that can be taken care of by Article 239 AA4 provides the power of reference. So your lordships have already held that in cases of extreme importance, the matter can be referred to the president and the president's decision is binding. The same will apply in case of services. So we are not in a position to damage any interest of the union. Like Dr. Singhvi said, we are just protecting our house. It's already circumscribed for us, but can we even function within our house? So I'll just conclude my submission with that your lordships will grant us entry 41, both as a for the purpose of legislation and executive, and the power to transfer and post officials who may belong to central service to, as per their own rules, we are entitled to. And because there is no concern of the central government in interfering in day-to-day affairs of ours. But I'm extremely grateful for that.
No, one administrative power with respect to entry, because it's a cadre post, correct? The service is located to the Delhi government, correct?
Yes.
Where is the question of legislature? What to be legislated?
So, Malaj, the impugn notification does
Because so far as the education, qualification, everything, mode of appointment, you can't have. Then what type of power you want?
So, Malaj, I attempt to answer.
Yeah.
Malaj, the impugn notification does two things. It says I don't have entry 41 available to in my legislature. It does that first. So, Malaj, we need that even for creating a post. Plus, your lordship is right. Certain posts, the top post will always be cadre post. In a principal secretary in a department will be a cadre All India service person. And that's why we showed to your lordship those rules. That even vis-a-vis him, we have the power to post within. But for everything else, for creating posts, if I'm creating a hospital, a health service, I need to create posts for that. Can my legislature pass that act? It can. And I need entry 41 for that. What does the impugn notification say? I can't, because I don't have entry 41.
Tell us something in the Delhi government hospitals, for instance.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
already have got Delhi government hospitals. You have Delhi government schools. What about the ministerial posts? Like who has legislated, who sanctions the posts, who appoints?
Plus, so post 2015, we have been earlier, Malaj, there was what the way it used to happen was the ministers concerned would do it, and the matter will go up to the LG in the normal mechanism as a matter of communication. Now, what happens? We have no play. The situation is so bad that the Speaker of the Assembly cannot even appoint a secretary in his own office.
Actually, factual assertions may be confined to.
I'm responding to a question from the court.
Yeah.
The actual assertion we confine to.
No, but for instance, in your just as a matter of clarification, in any Delhi government hospital, you would have n number of posts. Who has sanctioned those posts in the past? They were sanctioned by the Delhi government.
So, Malaj, there is a certain level of what has happened is there is a certain level of ossification in time which has happened post 2015. I am not in a position to create more posts. Whatever had been already done. Now it's the LG doing it his. If at all we request him, if it is not created, all of that is happening. But whatever was there pre-2015 is continuing.
Let me very quickly ask a direct question. After all, 239 AA has been there from 1992. There have been at least 4 governments of NCT between that time and now. So, well, it's not the law has changed. Let's be very frank. Well, the law has not changed. The harmony of working has changed, which is why do you have litigation? Why do you not? Today, what your lordship is asking, the correct answer is this, that the posts were created long ago. Please look at the last 2-3 years. Any post is created, transferred, appointed, can't be. Because how long can we keep on arguing on letters that the actual bus will be gone, the person will be dead, the patient will not be required. We can't argue on these things. So it needs clarity only from a Supreme Court. Otherwise, we can keep on having
to say, my relative may not say that.
No, but I have to say, I can't say else. We are not living in the Antariksh. We are living in Delhi.
Thank you.
Grateful to context.
Thank you, Mr. Farah.
Grateful to you.
I have gathered the information and your lordship would be shocked after this rhetoric. Right from 1992 till date, only 7 matters are referred by the LG to the president, registering the difference of opinion. Only 7, 92 till date.
So you want to say that except these the 7 which are referred, no difference is.
No, and total 18,000 files came as per law, as per 239 AA. And show the scheme, my lord. It's not, my lord, my learned friend completely skip the GNCTD Act, which is passed in exercise of powers under 239 AA7. And I will show, my lord, that scheme. Total, my lord, right from 2017, after your lordship's order, but Constitution Bench order till date, 18,000 files came LG as per law laid down, and all files clear. But let us see, my lord, the perception which is being built. And my lord, how, my lord, Honorable Chief Justice is query, how the Delhi government functions as an administrative unit, as a unit of governance, how Delhi government functions. Is it correct that it is the LG who runs the government, or as your lordships have noticed and as has been going on since earlier 92 onwards, it is the elected body which is in power? Lord, kindly see, my lord, 239 AA C, the AA7.
Question is who transfers? Second earlier question was that who creates the post? Who decides the number of?
Can I come
That
to
is
a
what,
little later, my
No,
lord?
that is what the first question of Honorable Chief Justice was this. Correct? Who creates the post?
My lord, the central government creates the post.
All posts are created.
Yes, my lord, and I'll substantiate that. That's the law.
No, just.
Yes, factually, yes.
Factually, we
I'm
want
sorry,
to-
I thought, Lord, central-
Running is a different thing, and creating and posting and everything, that is transferring everything is that is what.
that also, my lord, they can do with, my lord, LG refuses. If LG refuses, my lord, then it's a different thing. But I'll come to that, but let me go chronologically to point out what are the statutory provisions. That's, my lord, my purpose. Lord, kindly. Lord, kindly come to 239 AA7. This, my lord, I must place, my lord. I will place, my lord, whatever is not placed for your lordship's consideration. But first, my lord, I wanted to go in a different chronology, but I thought, my lord, I must, because, my lord, as a constitutional questions which are raised, the last part especially, would obviously weigh and should weigh. And it's my duty, my lord, to disabuse that impression. That impression is a castle in the air, my lord. I'll have to demolish that castle and say that this is the fiction and these are the facts. But please come to, my lord, 239 AA7. Lord, kindly bear in Constitution, my lord, please bear one thing in mind. 239. And I'll show, my lord, your lordships have said in the Constitution bench, 239A also applies to Delhi. Save as otherwise provided by Parliament by law, every union territory shall be administered by the President acting to such extent as he thinks fit, through an administrator to be appointed by him with such designation as he may specify. Lord, he is the representative of the President. Lord, first of all, LG is not just an officer; he's a constitutional functionary, and he is good. My learned friend tried to compare with the governor. Is not that equivalent to the governor. He represents the President. 2 may not be relevant, my lord, for the present purpose for either one of us, my lord. Kindly see, my lord, 3A7, 239, 3A7. I'm on a limited point, my lord. I'll take your lordship to the entire article thereafter, my lord. The Parliament may, by law, make provisions for giving effect to or supplementing the provisions contained in the foregoing clauses and for all matters incident or consequential thereto. Any such law as is referred to in subclause A shall not be deemed to be an amendment of this Constitution for the purpose of Article 368, notwithstanding that it contains any provision which amends or has the effect of amending this Constitution. In exercise of this powers, the Parliament has made NDMC, National, Delhi National, I'm sorry, GNCTA, Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi. So kindly see section 44. This is how constitutionally Delhi as a unit of governance is supposed to be governed. My lord, your lordships would find page 430 of volume 1. Convenience compilation, section 44.
Page number?
Lord, 430. So there is a history behind it. Each and every word under Article 239 AA chosen with a purpose, with an intention, and based on the historical background, which I'll have to, my lord, assist your lordships with, my lord, with in a minimalistic manner. I'll not, my lord, take that journey, my lord, from pre-constitution era. Your lordships have page section 44. My lord, the Chief Justice. The President shall make rules